Welcome back. I'm Randy Pierce, and this is How to Get a Divorce. Paul, I got a question for you.
Okay.
What do you do to help bring a divorce process to conclusion when it just seems like it's never going to end?
Well, one of the things we're going to do is we're going to go back to the mission statement that was drafted originally by the couple with the coaches. And that's their focus. And we need to go back and focus on that with the clients. I can talk to them on a financial level to see if there's any issues based upon the financial level that's not been resolved. And if it really is an emotional issue, we bring them back with the coaches to try and settle that particular part of the divorce process.
So what I hear you saying is the couple initially drafts a mission statement that is kind of an overall statement of how they're going to act, behave, and what their focus is.
Absolutely.
And then they come up with clear objectives, goals for the divorce.
That's
and
right.
if they hit a roadblock, we just go back and revisit those, and hopefully that sorts things out for them or helps to refocus them.
That's exactly why we have a mission statement. And if it's a financial issue, again, it goes back to the financial. If it's a family issue, it'd go back to the child specialist as an example. Or if it's an emotional issue, one person's not ready for a divorce yet, we'd go back to the coaches.
Great.
That's why we have the team.
Great, thank you. That's great. Warren, I had a question for you. From your perspective, what are some of the reoccurring roadblocks to quick settlements? What do you see in your practice?
Well, I think Paul said it best. It's usually an emotional issue. One party's not ready to be divorced, the other one is, but I see it in different ways, or we probably see it in different ways as financial. We'll see somebody, putting their foot in the stand about a specific asset, something they own. We'll see somebody not willing to give us the documents we need to do our work, and those are the typical roadblocks. When people are open and transparent, honest, and are willing to give us documents, things move smoothly.
Great. Well, that kind of brings us to another essential rule for us, and that is very simply, just be nice. If you want to have a better divorce and get divorced quickly, try being nice to your spouse. We would suggest that you want to learn some conflict resolution skills. You don't have to agree with your spouse. You don't have to become best friends. But what you can do is learn language that helps to mitigate or to minimize conflict. You learn how to talk to each other in a more healthy way. Tracy, you've had a lot of experience in being nice.
RESPECT. It is really key, showing one another respect.
Yeah.
You may dislike each other, in fact, hate each other, but when they communicate with respect, things go better. And that's the beauty of the coaches. Whatever their dance was in the marriage, whatever caused it to fail, it's going to be continued on in the divorce process. And the coaches bring out the better communication, because even though they're divorcing and they have kids, they're still going to always be connected because of those kids.
Yes.
So they've got to learn a better way to communicate.
That's essential. Very good. Thank you. Appreciate it. What do you do if one spouse simply won't disclose the necessary documents and you're just stuck without a response? Warren, how do you handle that?
Well, I think at that time it's good to help use the coaches and the entire team to let the clients know in the collaborative process that it's required in this process to reach the final settlement. Sometimes it gets very severe, and we have to tell them what will happen if they fall out of the process, which may be litigation, which is really the worst possible scenario for most of our clients.
Very good. Thank you. Well, that kind of takes us to what would probably be our fourth essential rule, and that's transparency. The court requires you to disclose all relevant facts. It promotes trust, and it also helps to bring settlements to quicker resolution. Transparency and honesty is always the best policy. Tracy, I wanted to ask you a question about parents' concerns. What are some of the parents' concerns when they're talking about their children? Is that a primary factor in most financial settlements?
If they're good parents, absolutely. I mean, I think that's one of the reasons why they choose collaborative, is to have control over the process and the outcome, and also to be able to handle and do what's best for their children. So they're going to be going now from one household into two households, but they are still very concerned about their children. And with the collaborative team in place, we can help them transition. And, you know, how are we going to pay for college? And how do we pay for Johnny's braces? And all those financial concerns about their kids, we need to address it in a positive way and make sure that they both come to resolution so they can work together and still co-parent in two separate households.
Great. Paul, how does a financial specialist help parents deal with the needs of their children?
Particular as a financial planner from that background, what we're really trying to do is get both parents to cooperate in that process. And we can do it from a financial standpoint, looking at their assets that they have. We can help them earmark some dollars for future, for a college savings plan. We can get them to agree to decide in the divorce how they're going to share those expenses going forward in a divorce. Because that's something that generally is not, really not addressed in a divorce situation. In collaborative, we can address those issues, and it helps the parents, decide that now, so the decision is made and it's not a problem down the road.
Great, thank you. Appreciate that. That really brings us to our fifth point. And our fifth rule is you have to remember your children are unique. They're not adults. They're going to react differently to divorce. And you need to understand that. And you need to find out how to support them in their own unique way. We would recommend that you use a child specialist in a collaborative divorce process. The reason for that is that'll bring in an adult voice into an adult problem. And the children will have a voice and can be heard and represented in that process. It also, I think as for financials, it gives us a proper needs assessment of what the children need. And that can have an impact on housing, it can have an impact on child support, it can have an impact on alimony. So it is a very essential process, and we want to get that part right because it's your children. And we'd also would recommend you prepare what they call a parenting plan. And that is where the children's needs are addressed for scheduling and picking up and those types of issues. It's a very elaborate plan. Warren, I had a question that came to mind. I wanted to ask you about the differences that we see between maybe litigation and the collaborative process.
Well, the differences in a successful collaborative case and litigation, what I've seen, having done litigation cases for the last 23 years, is many times an attorney will try to have the clients prepare declarations, especially for the children's sake, for courts that will show the worst of the other person in hopes that that would help their client have a higher timeshare, maybe a lower support order, benefits for their client. In the collaborative process, we don't see that. We really try to help the clients work together through the process so they not only can get through this process, but through the rest of their children's childhood and be able to tackle their problems in the future.
Great. Thanks, Warren. I really appreciate that. We've gone through the 5 essential rules for a better divorce. We've talked about choosing the right process, preparing yourself, being nice. We've also talked about transparency. We've talked about how unique your children are. I want to thank you for watching How to Get a Divorce. It's a production of Collaborative Divorce Solutions of Orange County. I hope you learned a lot and you now understand how to turn your bitter divorce into a better divorce. My name is Randy Pierce, and it's been a real pleasure. If you'd like more information, you can go to the following websites: www.cdsoc.com for the local Orange County practice group, Collaborative Divorce Solutions Orange County. There's also a Los Angeles practice group, Los Angeles Collaborative Family Law Association. It's www.lacfla.com. And if you're somewhere in the state of California looking for a practice group, you can punch in www.cpcal.com, and that is the Collaborative Practice California.